Good afternoon and welcome to Indulgence Lux Lens, the very first luxury-focused webinar from Business Standard. Now, this is a monthly conversation which takes off from Indulgence, which is Business Standard's quarterly edition into the world of luxury. And by a happy coincidence, this webinar is happening on the day that the latest issue of Indulgence is out. Now, our conversation today will focus on Dubai, which has been such a friendly destination for Indians in many respects, whether it's for shopping, tourism, business, or for investment purposes. But now we have the war in West Asia, and which has always offered safety, opportunity, and aspiration, despite being part of a region where peace has largely been fragile, also saw missiles and drones flying into it. The war will end at some point or the other, but the question that we are asking is, would it have done long-term damage to Dubai and its image? Or is it that Dubai's luxury boom is war-proof and that this dynamic global hub will bounce right back and return to business as usual? To discuss these questions and more, we have with us Mr. Shankar Sharma. He's a well-known investor, entrepreneur, and founder of G-Quant Investec. He's based in Dubai, though currently he's joining us from Bangalore, so he can offer us a picture from the ground. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Sharma.
Thank you very much for having me, Veenu.
Okay. We also have with us Deepak Patel, who is a senior assistant editor at Business Standard. Deepak writes on aviation and automobiles and is passionate about fine watches and perfumes, both of which Dubai is a global hub for. We'll begin with you, Mr. Sharma. You've been living in Dubai for 15 years now, I believe.
That's correct.
Yes.
Yes.
What was Dubai like before the war started on the 28th of February, and how has it impacted the mood there?
So, to some extent, it was known that there would be a war in the region because in June last year, there was a 12-day, could call it skirmish in hindsight, which ended in a kind of a ceasefire. So nobody won, nobody lost. Everybody was expecting something similar this time around also. Nobody really in the entire, not just Dubai, no, in the entire Gulf region, nobody expected that the region itself would be so impacted. So to that extent, there was an element of surprise or something more than that when it began and it came close home to everybody in the Gulf region. 3 months on, now it's kind of just settled into a certain rhythm, which is not literally the same as before for now. But I mean, I've been there and my friends are there and life goes on. And, it's just that the brain and the human psyche is so easily adjustable to new realities. And if there is some degree of dissonance, which is, clearly short term, the mind works around it and says, okay, fine. Okay, we understand what this is. Some things in life cannot be planned for or modeled for, and stuff happens. There is a momentary feeling of shock or surprise or whatever. But, we are very, very adaptable species. That's why we have lasted all like generations and, I don't know, millenniums and thousands of years, because human beings are essentially not fossils and fossilized. We are easily adaptable. So I think people, my own self, we are all fairly comfortable in the new realities, and hopefully it will revert to the old reality sooner rather than later.
So the new reality, I mean, humans, of course, are extremely adaptable. So the new reality, everybody has adjusted to the new reality, but does that new reality kind of question that perception of Dubai being, it's always positioned itself as a safe haven. And West Asia, we know, has, for decades been a volatile region. Many of us would still recall the Gulf War and the Scud missiles from the 1991. And the conflicts go way back. But this time, will this reality, do you think, have any kind of a long-term impact on Dubai as the perception of Dubai or how we see Dubai? Would you say it would have a long-term impact or?
We always tend to exaggerate the present. That's the way we are. And it's not that this is the first time a particular city has faced challenges. Okay. I mean, if you look at the history of London, I mean, over centuries, there have been any number of, whether it's a plague or, terrorist attacks and all kinds of things. I mean, New York City, of course, we knew what happened in 9/11. Every major city in the world, nothing is 100% peaceful all the time. Things happen which are completely unexpected. And we always say, will New York be the same again? Or will London be the same again? And guess what? 3 months later, everything. I mean, I'll give you my example just now. I went to Australia. Okay. This was in January. And, I wanted to go to Bondi Beach, which was just, outside, Sydney. And that was 10 days after the Bondi Beach incident, the horrific shooting in which, I don't know, 30, 40 people died. Okay. I think on a particular festival for Jews. And you know what? There was not room to place one can of beer. It was packed. And this was a weekday, not even a weekend. This was 10 days after such an incident where 40 people died. So, and I was laughing, and I asked the shopkeeper that, hey, it doesn't look like anything bad happened. He says, sir, from the very next day, things were back to normal. Forget about now. So that's the point I'm trying to make, that everybody's thinking, oh, Dubai this, Dubai that. My view is that once things settle down and a resolution is found, in no time, people will adjust. Dubai will, of course, I think I have the deepest admiration for its leadership. We have seen Dubai in the 2008 crisis. We saw it in the 2020 COVID crisis. Think about it: a city state built on tourism, on hospitality, finds itself in the middle of a real estate meltdown like 2008. And of course, real estate being another big part of the economy. 2020, it's almost life ending for a country or a city state based on these three, four big businesses. Do we even recall that? They actually came out of it stronger in last two, and of course, somebody can say just two incidents. But hey, these are huge, life-threatening, life-altering moments in history, not too far back. Why should we be skeptical that this thing, will not go away in a few months' time? So I'm an optimist as far as the leadership of Dubai is concerned. I know all over social media, people write all kinds of nonsense. I think there is also a bit of jealousy here, but I think Dubai has proven itself in the past. I have no doubts it will go back to being its original self.
Dubai, on that, question of Dubai and Deepak, would you want to come in since, you passionately follow the world of perfumes and watches, and Dubai being one of the big destinations for it, and, like, I'm like, playing the devil's advocate. I keep bringing back that little element of doubt over there to your optimism, Mr. Sharma. Like, what is your view, Deepak? Is it that do you have a sense that brands would reconsider perhaps presence?
Yeah. So, thank you for having me. First of all, I would like to give you some a brief perspective about how this city has come up in such a large way when it comes to establishing itself as a hub for luxury sales, and how brands generally perceive Dubai. So first of all, it has happened over decades. Step by step, Dubai has been able to establish itself as a key market. And one of the reasons is, of course, the infrastructure has been amazing. Second is that it is a tourist destination. I think in 2024, almost 19 million tourists itself, 19 million tourists went to Dubai itself. And I have the 2024 data. I don't have for 2025 data. And third thing is that, how seriously the brands are taking it. Let me just give you a few examples. Is that when you look at, a lot of major watch brands, take the example of Bremont or H. Moser and SAP and or Audemars Piguet. All of them have launched Dubai exclusive editions. When you look into the perfumes, again, it's the same. We have Italian niche perfume house Zarjov, again has launched UAE exclusive edition where perfumes belonging to each Emirates have been launched. We have Le Labo launching Dubai exclusive edition. Its name was, I think, Liqueur, which was a leather-based perfume. So it just shows that how seriously, and some of the launches happened in, I think, one or two launches when I'm talking about perfumes actually happened in 2025 itself. So all of this actually shows that how, these brands, these niche brands, which will uh, think 10 times before going into a market even. Um, I have even considered went to that extent where they're launching a city exclusive edition, which is available in only city stores. I mean, take the example of Amouage. Amouage is again an Omani perfume house. I think one of its perfumes, it's called Sequence. It is only available at Dubai airport. Later on, I think it has been made available at other places, but I think it's still at just Dubai airport. So it just shows the power of the Dubai brand that has been there, and it has been built over time, over years, over decades. And I would concur with Mr. Sharma that it will take a lot for that brand to go away. Uh, its reputation as a serious place, its reputation as a place with great infrastructure. I have my doubts that it will just immediately go away. But again, I will put in a caveat that let's see how the peace negotiations go forward. That will play the major role.
Mr. Sharma, coming to you, you're an investment expert. And Dubai has been a destination for HNIs also to buy luxury real estate. Uh, what is your sense over there? Are people buying right now, or is there caution, or is this like that? Maybe this is a great time to invest in Dubai. How are the luxury real estate, say, prices doing? And I'll just like add another question to that. Dubai recently scrapped the minimum property value requirement for solo investors who seeking 2-year residency visas, making the market more accessible. So on one side is the luxury real estate market, and the other side is a market that is also looking at also to convert renters into long-term residents. The Dubai Land Department for investors seeking visa and real estate services has removed that threshold of 750,000 dirhams that it had for solo buyers. How is all of this being received? Is this perhaps a good time to invest in Dubai?
So I don't want to go into things I don't understand very well, real estate being one of them. I do understand that prices have not corrected as much as people might have expected them to when the war kind of became really a hot war. Based on anecdotal evidence, I do believe there has been some correction, maybe 10-15%. But I mean, you could argue that, it was already a very high price. And in stock markets, at least, my experience is sometimes markets just correct for no good reason. They can pick some reason and attribute a correction just to that reason, not in a particularly serious way, but you just want to hang on to some reason to correct. So Dubai properties have gone up a lot in the last 5 years. It had run up a lot, and there was a reason for it to correct irrespective of the war or the near war. I think they're just blaming everything on this particular event. I think in any case, nothing can keep going up 15-20% every year. It's not possible. I think it was due for some degree of pause or a downward correction. I think that's what has happened. The war or something else might have just triggered it. But it's not collapse. It's not a crash. If anybody is believing that, I think they need to call up some agents in Dubai. I think people are the sellers are waiting because they also believe that this is not a permanent war. Like in many parts of the world, it becomes a permanent war, maybe low intensity, but this is not that. Some degree of resolution will be found. Dubai has not been in this particular war an active participant. It has been a receiving participant, but not the aggressor. There's no reason to believe that it is going to be a permanent state of affairs. So the sellers know that this is a temporary problem. Let's ride it out. They're not crashing prices. The buyers, I spoke to a few people. They're saying we're looking for deals, but we are not getting what we want. So what people are looking for, especially Indians, might be a 40% sale price. I doubt if that's there. I really would doubt it. So yes, some correction, not a crash, not a meltdown. If you have rupees which you can legally remit abroad, given the state of the rupee, you are just going to make some money off the currency itself. So it's like if that's 10-15% down by way of the actual price, you may as well settle for that because the rupee being what it is might well be a probably a less good a position to be in. It's better probably to be in Dubai real estate. Just choosing between two things.
Deepak, would you want to
Venu,
come
I would
in?
like to, yeah, I
Okay.
would like to come in. I would just like to give one example of how Dubai has also matured as a real estate market. So I was just, just before our session here, I was just going through a Knight Frank report. It's a real estate consultancy, and I was just going through the report, 2025 report about Dubai real estate, and it showed that in 2020, 48.1% of all the real estate transactions that happened were off-plan sales. Now, off-plan sales, for those who don't know, it actually means that these houses are brought directly from developers. In 2020, the number was just 41.1%. In I think 2024, the number has gone up to 70%. So essentially, a lot of people think that people are buying houses in Dubai just for flipping them, just to book a profit and then move on to other, and then this flipping continues. That's not exactly the case because a lot of people are also buying it because to situate themselves there to live there. So, and also, second thing is that because the per capita income of Dubai is so high, what we see is that, like for example, let's take the transaction of around $10 million, around $10 million if we look into that category. Around 435 transaction, around 450 or 435 transactions happened in 2024, which is almost equivalent to New York or London of for 2024. So this actually shows that first of all, it's a very high value market. The second thing is also that this perception that people are just flipping homes, that's not exactly correct. The market has matured quite a lot in the last last few years. We will say last 5 7 years.
No, and the
So,
other important thing to keep in mind is that Dubai offers you a positive spread in terms of the rental yield, which unfortunately India has never done so. So India is always the opposite, that you fund something at 7, 8%, 9%, and your yield might be, I don't know what it is now, but maybe 2%. In Dubai, you can fund it for, I mean, I'm not talking the recent run up in interest rates globally. I'm talking, let's say, 6, 8 months back for maybe 3.4, 3.8%, and you could get the yields of 7%, 7.5%. So there has always been a positive carry. So to buy to flip, I think that existed maybe 10 years back. Now I think it is buy to rent. Indians, I know a lot of Indians who don't live there, but they just get rental yield. They get a bit of a positive spread, but they own a home in Dubai and it's dollarized income. You have hedged away their rupee exposures. So it's a combination of all those things at play. But buy to flip, I don't think exists anymore. In not in small part because it's no longer a cheap enough market to flip that quickly. Buy to flip works when things are super cheap, which was the case. I remember 15 years ago when I moved there in Dubai Marina, you could buy a very decent apartment for about 1,000 dirhams or so a square foot, which was around 16,000 rupees a square foot. Now, that in Bombay, you could not get in probably 70% of greater Mumbai area. It was that cheap. That you could buy to flip, no more. I mean, now prices are 2.5, 3,000 dirhams a square foot, and you're not going to be able to flip.
so what does it take then to build a brand like Dubai? If India were to get draw lessons from Dubai in terms of a luxury destination, and we have started we do have some really fantastic luxury malls. Emporio came long ago. We have uh, the Nita Mani Cultural Center and the mall in Bombay. What does it take to build a brand like Dubai? Such a resilient brand that even when your missiles and drones are flying over you, there's this confidence that, okay, fine, it's not going to, shake its foundation. What does it take to do something like this? Both of you, in fact,
It's
Mr.
a
Sharma first.
it's a very it's a very deep question because it's not an easy one. When I moved to Dubai, by the way, it was not what it is today. It wasn't considered top of the line, highly prized for destination. It was still that the low end workers from India go there and all that. I think it was a conscious makeover of the city by them, by the leadership of Dubai. But there are many reasons, but I'll give you the single biggest reason and why you cannot create another Dubai. And this is not so intuitive. A mall will not create Dubai. Okay, a water park will not create Dubai. You know what the single biggest difference is? The single
Infrastructure.
biggest reason why a city becomes a global city, or for example, Singapore is like that, or Dubai is like Hong Kong, is when the local population forms not more than 20-25% of the total population. The demographics are what make a city a global city, not the physical infrastructure. This nobody gets. Dubai's population is so globalized, where there are 180, 185 countries, and they constitute, if I'm not mistaken, 80%, 85% of the population. Locals are 80 or 10, 15%. With that, I'm not saying it's a good or a bad thing. I'm just saying it gives the city a very diverse character. And that is the reason why Saudi Arabia has been unable to achieve that, because it's a large local population country. Dubai was a very small population. You could, with a large landmass, you could fill a lot of people into it, and therefore demographically make it a global city. No other city, that I can think of can achieve that. I mean, the earlier ones were Hong Kong and Singapore. So you need the demographic pie chart to be highly expat driven. That's
So,
what creates the buzz. That's what creates the vibe. The malls are only places, just as like they're like placeholders. You see
this is very
that part
interesting.
that part nobody gets. Now, how the hell do you replicate that in India, where it's not possible unless you carve out a city state, right? You see the
Yes,
point I'm
unless you
making?
build it from scratch and then try to
Exactly,
populate
exactly.
that way.
Exactly. Think about it. Look at Bali. Why is Bali so popular? Again, 70-80% expat population.
Okay, this is like
Why
very,
was
very
Goa?
fascinating.
Why
Yeah.
was Goa so popular? Again, not 80%, but a very large proportion relative to the rest of India of expat population.
Very fascinating. Deepak, you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so one thing that Mr. Sharma talked about, it's very interesting that he talked about demography and he also talked about infrastructure. Now, I'll come from, first of all, how demography plays a role that, when we have a significant numbers of expats living in a particular city, then these people then go about and tell their relatives, their friends that this is a good place, probably you should come here, and then that's how the word of mouth spreads. That's the reason why we saw Dubai having around 19 million tourists in 2024. Now, I'll also come to the fact, again, I'll mention the study that I quoted before, by Knight Frank. And uh, they, I think, surveyed 370 HNIs in high net worth individuals in 2024. Most of them were British, Saudi, or Indian. And what they found was the number one reason why these people were interested in real estate, Indian Dubai's real estate, was not the tax. The low tax or the zero tax was somewhere in fifth or sixth in their priority. The number one was the physical infrastructure. Number two was the value for money. Number three was, the openness of the city, again, the great tourist destination. So, if you are able to provide that openness, provide a seamless infrastructure, when it is metro or tram or everything, where people can just move from one place to another place with absolute smoothness, in absolute comfort. When I say comfort, I'm talking about air conditioning. So all these factors also, develop a city, and also this development happens not within a span of few years. It generally takes a lot, a span of I will say a few decades, and then that's how you develop a reputation as such. To replicate that in India, I think it would be pretty difficult. We have got a few pockets here and there. It's not as if that we don't have artistry of craftsmanship that can be popularized internationally. That's not the case. It's just that to create a brand and to create a place along with that, that's a bit of a challenging job, especially as Mr. Sharma pointed out, especially when you have a populous country or cities which have huge populations in themselves. I would just like to also mention that since we mentioned perfumes before, in perfumes also, we have a lot of international brands. But it's not as if that India has had no history of perfumery. I mean, when it comes to Mysore sandalwood oil, when it comes to rose absolutes, I'm talking about rose extracts, they're still exported from India by perfume houses, whether it is, you know, uh, we can take name of big perfume houses, but all of them, not all of them, but at least most of them import these items from India. But still, no one, we can't say that we have an international perfume brand coming out of India till now. May happen in future. So yeah, it's the same problem, same contrast.
And it's
But
not so much
I
out
just
there
want to
that we
come
know
here,
about.
Deepak.
Sorry.
No, I just want to come here, Deepak. That you see, I'm sure all of you have visited Bali. Bali has no infrastructure. Okay, I mean the streets are narrow and it's not Dubai, but yet it has the vibe, and the vibe comes from the demographics. That like I have a friend who went there and she messaged me saying that what, I found my community of Latinos there, and like next door there's a bunch of Cubans there and there's a bunch of whatever Venezuelans there. See, they are not there because the roads are great in Bali. Okay, everybody knows that traffic is awful, horrendous. It's just that the population, the domestic one, is so small, it becomes a totally globalized city with representation from 30, 40, 50 countries. That's the lubricant to creating a global vibe, in any place. Just to put something in context.
Yeah, no, you are absolutely right. I mean, one of the reasons why Goa was so popular among British tourists or with the Russian tourists, it was the same. I mean, it was not because Goa had absolutely smooth infrastructure, but it was the vibe, it was the openness with which, for decades people were coming. Now the situation, as per a few people who have been going there, is changing a bit when it comes to international tourists. But yeah, from many, many decades, Goa has been very popular, and it's not exactly because of infrastructure. You're right.
Yeah, absolutely the opposite. I mean, there was no infrastructure
Yeah.
comparable. Yet people loved it. I mean, it's really so much vibe.
Coming to the question of, Indian businesses looking at Dubai, I was going through this report by DMCC, the Commodities Exchange and Trade Free Zone in the UAE, which said that it attracted something like 2,300. It's an old report, 2025 report, not so old. It attracted something like 2,300 new companies in 2025. But of these, some 334 were Indian companies, which is the highest number from any single country, something like a 3% year-on-year increase. Now, the thing is that businesses look for stability. Uh, Businesses are not very comfortable with, obviously, conflict. If we were to look at would something like this, you think that will also not like spook businesses
Look,
looking?
My view is this. And before I moved to Dubai, I did because I come from the business of research
Yes.
and hopefully sensible decisions through a lot of analysis. And I analyzed for Indians, okay, the places to move if you want to become an expat. Oh, I mean, back then, Dubai didn't even figure. It was Singapore and London primarily, there's cultural affinity and there's English speaking, blah, blah, blah. Dubai didn't figure, but I thought out of the box. I was a little ahead in the trade. It became popular 10 years later. After having lived there 15 years, I can tell you it is by far the best quality of life of any country in the world. It just marries every single thing you would want in a place of residence. Now, I don't think the war has changed that, barring just a little bit of thing about, hey, is it safe or not? Okay. Well, for the last 3 months, there has been 2.5 months, there has been nothing. It has been more the perception of fear rather than actual. It's not a war zone with mortar shells and howitzers going off and bombs getting dropped. It's not that. Okay, it's not even, let's say, a Beirut or a Tel Aviv or a Tehran. It's not even in the same planet. Now that perceptional thing is a lot easier to fix than a physical, 9/11 kind of situation. And let's agree, there's nothing even remotely resembling that. The perceptional part, 3 months, if nothing happens and things kind of die down on the war front, we would have moved on very, very quickly. And the original premise of Dubai will return that it is the best quality of life for, frankly, any nationality. In my building, I've met people from the US, from England, from, of course, India. I mean, literally, I think 25 countries, all of them agree, from Europe, Western, Eastern, Central, London. They all agree that, boss, hey, life here is like a dream life. What's changed? It's nothing has changed. So I
Well,
just think,
anything else?
I,
Deepak, would you
I
add
think, I
something?
think we will achieve normalcy in the mind. That's what we need to go very, very quickly.
Okay. Deepak, anything? Any
I will
last?
just say that, when it comes to companies, when it comes to luxury companies, all of these will, I doubt a few days or a few attacks here and there is going to make much of a difference. All companies ultimately then take a measure of the situation based on pros and cons. And pros still outweigh the cons, and cons are also were there when the attacks had happened at the beginning of the conflict or at the middle of the conflict, not right now. Basically, the businesses, and I'm pretty sure Mr. Sharma would know better than me, that they will have to see uh, that is the situation so unpalatable for them that they have to then prove themselves there. I don't see it happening. I mean, this is from my discussions that I have had with a few people who have been working there for quite a long time. The Dubai administration has been very responsive. They have been informing people whenever there has been, any kind of crisis or anything. Mr. Sharma would know better. But the response of the administration, the way how seriously they are taking it, each and everything, it's not just a matter of panel discussion for them. For them, understand that if this brand Dubai goes away, it can have a large scale ramifications. So they are also taking it much more seriously. So yeah, when it comes to investment by companies, establishing offices by companies, they will have to take in both into considerations. But I don't think that situation has reached where they feel that okay, now it's enough. We have to then uproot it ourselves from here.
Thank you so much. That was, we're ending on such a positive note. I thought my last question would be like 5 years from now, how will we be looking at Dubai? Will we even being asking this question? But that question doesn't hold anymore.
Nope.
You've already answered that. Yes, 5 years is too long a horizon. You're saying 2, 3 months down the line, we'll just, even the perception would have changed. So thank you so very much for joining us, Mr. Sharma, and thank you so much, Deepak, for, all your
Thank you.
insightful observations. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
And
Veenu. Thank you, Deepak. Thanks very much.
thank you, thank
Bye
you,
now.
thank you. We will be, tomorrow at 2 p.m. we have another webinar. This is on the pull of the magic pill, where we will be discussing all the weight loss drugs that are becoming all the rage. Meanwhile, we will meet again on the last Wednesday of every month for more luxury themed webinars from Business Standard Indulgence. Thank you so very much for joining us.